that not very many people are watching them.
Okay.
And if they
And
do,
that
they
may
watch them
be
for like 2 minutes and
because
then
it's a
they're
lot.
gone. But
Yeah.
um,
And you can only store so many, right? So eventually you have to start taking them down, right?
at
Or do
some
we
point
put
in
them up on a
time,
YouTube channel?
yeah, well, yeah, they are on a YouTube channel right now. I have a YouTube channel that I'm putting them on, but
Oh, okay.
I still have to, either that or I just take them off of my, because I'm using my laptop to do the Zoom meeting and recording it to them, but I can just copy them to another hard drive. And yeah, you're cool, but if I said her out, she'll sit out there and cry. You gonna behave yourself? All right. Yeah, like I said earlier, I have to go pick up my grandson from work. But
Okay.
when I do that, I'll sign on with my phone and I'll leave this computer up.
Perfect. Perfect.
Oh, snap. There's Bill.
We'll wait just another minute or so. Let me just
Okay.
check.
What do that?
This is Griffin, PQ. Have a question before you start.
Yes, go ahead.
You remember that saying that the member, I think, from Del Mar talked about, or Carl's bed, that 3 minutes, 3 hours.
3 minutes, first 3 hours. Uh-huh.
What's the three minutes for what?
It's just
What were the 3 minutes? What's the 3 hours for?
well, we use like the first 3 hours as far as a preparedness technique. What do you have for the first 3 minutes? What do you have for the first 3 hours? What do you have for the first 3 days?
Isn't that on the SD preparedness?
It is on the SD preparedness, and it tells you different kits to pack for each of those time frames. For instance, in the city of Poway, actually Claudia Warner started it, who I was my mentor when I started this calling. She was very big on the first 3 minutes. And in getting the community, she lived in Penasquitas, little kits that they could start and just keep at their bedside to get out of the house quick in case of that overnight emergency, you know, that. And in Poway, the nonprofit that we are running, we have a grant now that we do those first 3 minute kits and distribute those to our community members. And then we have a small backpack that we call the first 3 hours that has a bigger set of supplies in it to keep in the trunk of your car or whatnot, or your office. And then we encourage people for the 72-hour kits the first 3 days. But yeah, that's what they're mostly referring to is, you know, your preparedness kits to get you to that next level of safety within that time frame.
Okay.
I think Beverly Blaylock's going to talk to us a little bit about that tonight if she gets on.
Okay.
Oh, hey, Beverly, you are on. I sent out an agenda and I didn't put that on right away. And then I realized, oh, her and I had been talking about it. So I've slated time for her to talk about that as well. All right, well, why don't we go ahead and get started here. And I'm just going over my agenda. I did email the agenda out, so hopefully everybody's pulled it up and is looking at it. If not, go ahead and go to your emails and find that now if you want, because it's a great place. I leave it as a Word doc so you can expand upon it and take notes. So just be aware of that. And oh, Elder and Sister Stringham, welcome. We're so glad to have you join us tonight. It's awesome. I'm going to switch to my gallery view. I'm just looking at my chat. Hello. If there are any on here for the first time, if you could put your contact information in the chat, that would be most helpful. And let's go ahead and get started with, oh, Sister Jimenez. I wasn't expecting you tonight, and I see you're on. Welcome, welcome. So welcome, everybody. Why don't we go ahead and get started with an opening prayer. And I was going to ask Brother Coffee, would you mind offering our opening prayer tonight? if I say your name right. Maybe he's muted me and he won't come on because I said his name wrong.
He's muted, yeah.
Oh, how about now?
Oh,
Yeah, we
that's
hear you perfectly,
great.
John.
We hear you now. Did I say your name
Sorry
right? How
about
do you
that.
say your last name?
Well, it's what we don't drink. It's real simple.
Okay, got it. I thought I remembered that, but my memory's shaky. So
Yeah, just as a side note, years and years ago, I was on vacation with my wife and I and my first baby with my parents. We went to dinner at the lodge in Yosemite, and when we
yes.
left our name there, this guy walks over to us, this other customer, and says, "What'd you say your name was?" I said, "Coffee." I said, "But we don't drink it." He goes, "Well, my name's Beer." Drink it because we're LDS. And so we had a whole table. We had coffee and beer. Nobody drank either one.
That's funny.
All right, you ready?
Mhm.
Our dear Heavenly Father, humbly bow our heads this evening and give thanks to Thee for all our many blessings. We are grateful for the opportunity to gather together to discuss this emergency preparedness in our region. We ask Thee that our hearts and minds may be in tune, that the things we do and say this day will be the things that are needed for our group in our area. Bless us that as we work in these callings from day to day, that we will keep in mind our Heavenly Father at all times and strive to do the best we can to help our brothers and sisters in case of any kind of emergency. Now we dedicate our time in this meeting to you. In the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. And I'm just looking at the screen. Does anybody see President Walton on by chance? I'm not seeing.
Not yet. I don't think.
Okay.
The screen
Okay.
is full. Let me see if there's another.
Yeah. Was just going to have him give a thought, but since he's not here, how about Brother Kennedy or Elder Clark? Neither one of them are on, right?
No, not yet.
Okay. I wanted to read you a letter, and give me a minute to find it here, that Brother Kennedy had sent out. Well, I tried to have things lined up so it would be easy to find. Maybe I don't know what it's called. Okay, let me go back to the basics here. We had encouraged this new emergency communications drill this year in October to do a no technology, boots on the ground approach. And we kind of heard back that that was creating a few hiccups in the stakes. And so Brother Kennedy and Elder Clark asked us to remind everyone that even though we are breaking it down to bite-sized quarterly drills just to build up to creating that program for boots on the ground in the fall, it's not mandatory that you do it, the little exercises. And yet we do want everyone's participation in the fall. So he had sent out a letter to all the stake presidents. I just wanted to make you aware of what he had sent. He said, you may recall that we had a discussion at our last coordinating council meeting about emergency response and communication training drills. Based on that discussion, Elder Clark would like to clarify his support for an annual coordinating council-wide training drill in October to align with the California Great Shakeout program. That would be a once-a-year event. As stake presidents, you may decide that you want to test your emergency communications protocols more often than once a year. And that is certainly within your prerogative to do so within your stakes. We have a very active group of church emergency communication specialists, regional, stake, and ward levels within San Diego and Imperial counties, led by Sister Sorensen. They hold monthly meetings via Zoom to discuss their plans, ideas, and latest protocols. Most stakes throughout the region participate in this meeting. They are an outstanding resource for you, so we encourage you to take advantage of these amazing experts. And then signed it, Brother Kennedy, Executive Secretary to Elder Clark, North America West. So I just wanted to make you aware of that. We don't know if misinformation is getting back or misunderstandings on the stake president's part, but because we no longer get that chance to have a small minute within those quarterly councils they have with Elder Clark, and they're getting their information kind of third party, and some of them were pushing back on our breaking it down and doing smaller exercises along the way, and thinking that we were demanding that they do that. And we certainly didn't want anyone to feel that pressure, but we do want, if you have the bandwidth within your stakes and wards, to do that kind of preparation before the bigger drill. That we, highly encourage that. So I just wanted to make you aware that those things were said in the coordinating council. Elder Clark heard it. He relayed it back to us. We assured him that we are only suggesting it, but and then he sent out that letter to confirm with the stake president. So if you're hearing anything different, if you're getting any pushback, if you need any help in any way with that, please let us know so we can address it and keep moving forward. So are there any questions about that before I move on? Okay. Stephen Egbert, is he on the call yet?
He is on twice.
He is on twice. Okay. So he is out of town. He left out of town last night. I came in and he left. We waved goodbye to each other. Hello, goodbye. And he may just be listening, but I was going to have him do a welcome. Stephen, are you able to unmute and do a welcome?
I can, yeah, I can unmute.
Okay.
I have a laptop and I have a phone. The
Fabulous.
phone works better than the laptop does. What did you want me to do? Introduce myself or no?
Yeah, you can introduce yourself and then check for guests and any of those that are first time attendees so I can record it.
Okay,
That way I can
okay.
take notes while you're talking.
Okay, this is very important. A number of you have heard from me that I am trying to get an updated roster since it's been several months. So when you give when you introduce yourself, make sure you tell us what stake you're from and what your calling is or you think it is. And also Terry may ask for a contact if you seem like you're unfamiliar to us, if you'd like maybe in a chat or someplace to indicate a way we can get into contact with you. Is there any, let me take my phone over to where I can see my screen. It's nice having a hearing aids and a phone and a screen. Let me just call names. Dave, would you introduce yourself?
When you move closer, Stephen, all of a sudden you're reverberating and we're not hearing you, just every other word now. And he may have frozen up altogether.
Oh, yeah.
Best
They
plan.
hear you.
Yeah, you're freezing up, Stephen. Okay.
I'll send him a chat.
Yeah, send him a chat and let him know. And I know he's on twice and he's moved everything closer, so it may be interfering.
Mm-hmm.
Let me try my, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I jumped from my phone to my to the laptop. I got to turn this sound off, otherwise I'll go nuts. It's rough, Terry, with two devices at the same time.
Yeah. Do you want me to take it then?
Yes, please.
Okay. So what we're looking for is especially changes that might be in your stake. So we're just going to kind of quickly go down the state callings for emergency response and just find out if there's any changes that we need to quickly make record of. Stephen Fairbanks, El Centro, anything new?
There you go.
Nothing new. I've got Bishop Miles on here with us. He's from the Calexico Ward.
Oh,
welcome,
Bishop Miles, welcome.
It's his first time.
All right. Well, we appreciate you being here and we hope you find useful information. We certainly look forward to if you have anything to share as well. All right, let me move on then. Bill Snap from Escondido. I know I got Brother Cottam on there, right?
Yes, Bill stepped out for a minute. He'll be right back, but
Oh, you are, Brother Cottam?
yeah, in the meantime, nothing new, although we did have some ward filling, some ward specialists called, which is very good. I think we have all wards represented now. And we'll be holding our second training meeting this Thursday night, this coming Thursday.
That's great. Okay. And no new changes in your stake presidency or high councilman?
No, they're very supportive. Two of the stake presidency attended our first meeting.
Great. And how did they receive that information?
They thought it was great.
Excellent.
But we reminded them we're just getting started.
Right. All
Bill,
right,
I
Gary
mean,
Hansen. Oh, sorry, Mike.
I was just wondering, did you present boots on the ground to them at that meeting or just a general?
No, that'll be this Thursday.
Okay.
And thank you for the PowerPoint. That's
Oh,
very
you're very
helpful.
welcome. Yeah. If you see anything in it that doesn't work, let me know. I mean, in terms of this.
Yeah, we'll find out.
Yeah.
All right, Jerry Hansen.
Oops, I'm not, okay, I'm good. Nothing going on out here.
Okay. All your emergency people are still the same ones. Is that right?
Yeah.
Your state
Yes.
president's the same one, your high councilman? Okay.
Yes, no
Right.
changes.
All right. Thank you. And I'll go down to the Griffins and PQ.
Can you tell us who the high councilman you have down there? Russ?
Stephen, do you have that list up? Who do you have as the high councilman for emergency response?
I think he's frozen or sleeping.
Steve
Okay.
Egbert? You
Yes.
mean? Well, let me go over to my briefcase.
Russ.
I have Tom Oldner.
No, he's been changed out. It's Mark Larson now.
Yes, okay. At SEN or ON?
Owen.
Okay. And in the chat, would you put down his contact information so I don't take everybody's time?
That'd be great. Thanks.
Thank you. All right. Who else do I have here? Change screens. All right, anybody here from San Diego South? There is still a San Diego South, right?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. And anyone from San Diego State?
That would be me,
That's Mike. There you
Yeah.
go.
and we're all up to date.
Okay. Perfect. And how about San Diego East, right?
Mhm.
Yes, we have no changes in our stake leadership.
Okay.
We're still we're a little shy of getting all our callings for the emergency response specialists. We have a couple of wards that are just stellar, doing a wonderful, wonderful job, and a couple that are coming up. So we're improving, and we're going to get there. So that's our current status. Okay.
And I saw you had one word you sent me tonight was La Mesa Lane.
Yeah, I just got with the Mesa. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
Okay.
strong candidate there. Yes, we have some phenomenal candidates, colleagues. I mean, really good. So we're very happy at that. So we're making significant progress. So
Fabulous. Okay.
thank you.
Sister Jimenez, I recognize you on here. Thank you so much for joining us. And I'll look forward to asking you a little bit about San Bernardino. So let me know if you're constrained by time, and I'll move you up on the agenda. And with that, did I miss anyone? Vista or San Marcos? Is there any representation? Or Carlsbad? How about Del Mar? Okay. All right, I'm not hearing anything, so let me move on. Let's see, communicate. Oh, okay. As many of you may already know, but some of you that are new may not, that the emergency response callings that Stephen Egbert and I hold, and also Mike Guyman, they fall under the Regional Communication Council, which is led by Becky Davies. And in sitting in on her council, we also collaborate with all the other brothers and sisters that are called to serve in the communication capacity, not radio and technology, but more in public affairs, as it used to be called. And one of the things that's coming down, and Sister Jimenez can probably speak to this too, because it came up in a report with her, was that the church is looking to see if there are any partner agencies that we are working with that might be in need of humanitarian aid. And if I get that wrong, Sister Jimenez can correct me when I let her have a turn. But so be thinking about that. The church is looking to partner with organizations who are doing good things in the community, mostly, you know, those that are vetted and recognizable, but certainly smaller ones can be considered depending on the need and the ask. There's some requirements that fall into that, and I'll let Sister Jimenez speak on that. But I just want you to be aware that I serve on that communication council, and we collaborate with our community. Likewise, as stake representatives for your stake as the emergency response specialist, that is part of your calling as well, to collaborate with your community resources and develop a network with them, find out their needs, partner with them, work with them, not only insular with your ward and stake in developing emergency plans, but outward as well with the community. So with that being said, Mike Guyman, can I turn it over to you for any communication updates?
Sure, you can. Hang on a second, buddy.
And let me correct that. The distinction is communications updates, because that's the technology part,
right?
Not the
Well,
public.
you know, we're still marching forward on the boots on the ground, and kind of coming to an understanding that we may want to start offering a menu of selections to units, to introduce ourselves as helpers and say, okay, you know, here, you know, here's one way to do it where you're texting, and here's another way to do it under other circumstances, which is texting. And then if nothing else works, we also have another plan that's called Boots on the Ground. And so where would you like to start, and what can we help you with? And then just teach them what they're receptive to, and establish a good relationship with them, and then move on from there. Because, you know, we've talked about the bandwidth issue in each ward, a different structure and unit leaders. So that is one of the things that I'm looking at and trying, and going to start organizing it, and talking to our communications people about how to approach and what to say and what to offer. So that's going to take a little bit of training, I think. There, nothing really new. We're just going to recombine and present some of the things we already have as to what will happen under different scenarios, probably using the same belt, suspenders, rope thing, you know, to define the different categories. So that is one thing that we're moving forward on. And another one.
Can I clarify with that?
Yeah, please do.
Are we talking about after the October drill, different ways of communications, or are we talking prior to the October drill and muddying the waters?
Which would you prefer?
I want to be careful about muddying the waters and causing confusion, although because we are getting that strong support from Elder Clark to make sure in a bigger emergency event, we can communicate. We are, again, strongly encouraging no technology. So I don't want to confuse people and give them an easy out. However, with that, well, with that being said, I know that's going to create difficulty for some wards and stakes that are just getting going or don't have the resources in play. But on the,
I think it will eliminate the majority.
I don't think it will eliminate the majority. I mean, surely we can, my point was in the reporting part of it was reporting something versus nothing was better. I mean, if even only one person participated was a better report than no report, right?
That's fine. We'll
And
do it anyway.
finding out where our limitations are, where the gaps are, and where we need to improve.
So we'll hold off on that till after October.
Okay.
That's not a problem at all.
Okay.
And the other thing that, and this is going to probably it will definitely take too much time tonight to talk about, but as I'm looking at the boots on the ground and how it works, one of the things that it does is it makes us first responders. When we're boots on the ground, we're the first people to make contact with the families. So I think that further discussion of that, I mean, it may be something along the threes category where we try to get a hold of people with text messaging for a certain period of time. And after if we don't, because things will go down and then it might come back in 3 days. But after 3 days, maybe, and that's the time thing, the 72-hour part of it will go along with the 72-hour kit. They need to be prepared. And Byron, when we were having a meeting not too long ago, Byron said something that makes a lot of sense to me. And that is basically try to focus as best as we can on individual preparedness, communications wise, since that's what we're dealing with is the communications, try to focus on what they need to know and make sure that they feel like that they can handle sending a text or the boots on the ground. So like I said, this is something that it keeps coming back to me time and time again. So, and like I said, it's not something that we could probably solve tonight, but I'd encourage people to think about it because it is, it does put us in, we become the first responders. We will be the first people there if we send a text and we don't get anything and we head out the door. And I'm concerned about the safety of those people who will be heading out the door. So there's a lot more training I think that we need to focus on to teach people how to find out if it's safe to walk out the door, which would be some instruction, repetitively instructing about the importance of the emergency broadcast system and having AM/FM radios that are battery operated or go turn it on in their car, because that's where the information is going to come from. We're not going to have it. And they need to know that they'll find out if they need to evacuate and where to evacuate. So those are the things that I'm looking at and considering as far as communications is concerned.
Yeah. Okay. And I know you had a Zoom meeting at the beginning of this month.
Yes, we did.
And you're getting participation on that.
Oh yeah, very much so.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
good. People our communications people are, for the most part, excited about the boots on the ground, and especially there's some good reception for the members' tools and the new things that are available there. So we're moving right along. Again, we need to find the people who are in the market for it.
Yeah.
And we will wait till the end of October after that drill before we actually try to drill down on that.
Do you know about how many stakes participate in the monthly drills or monthly Zoom meeting that you hold approximately?
We have probably 8 or 9.
That's great.
Yeah.
Great.
And
how many would you say? I know some of them are very actively working on mapping projects. Do you have an approximate how many are working on those?
Not exactly. I would say, I think we have 3 to 4 units that are actively working on it, counting my ward that I'm in here, the Claremont ward. They're really gung-ho on it. They've been working on it for about 3 or 4 months. So,
Okay.
So yeah, so I would say probably 4
And when you say units, is that meaning wards or stakes that are working with wards? Okay.
Stakes.
Okay.
Stakes that are in the process of introducing it to their wards and to the stake.
Perfect. Okay. And anything else? Any questions for Mike from anyone? Okay. And are there still stakes that don't have emergency communication specialists? Do you know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Do you know?
south and east is coming up. I'm not sure how we're doing out there in El Cajon. I mean, we got Jerry out there, and he's a one-man army, so. And they've had a lot of experience that
Right.
part out of that thing, but
Right.
you know, my main concerns at the southern stake in our area here is, you know, we've had trouble manning that. Those people who were active kind of faded away, and then, I mean, we're familiar with that stake, and
Yeah, and I would tell you, the one representative that kept trying to attend, Margaret Bodette, she's moved out.
oh, okay.
She's moved away.
Oh,
She's
okay.
up north somewhere now. I don't remember where. But I haven't heard, you know, anyone that they've tried to replace her with. Or
No,
what's happened.
no. So I think a phone call from me might help a little bit. Call the stake president and ask him how we can help.
Okay, yeah, that would be great. That
Mhm.
would be great. Okay, so if there's no other questions, let me turn it over to Beverly Blaylock for social media. We've been talking a lot about ideas that you have for promoting this boots on the ground exercise, and of course, updates to the website and such. So I'll turn it.
Sure. Okay, does everyone hear me okay? Okay. I've been working, it's like a light went off yesterday for me on the website. Our website, sdpreparedness.com, has been a collection. It's like going into a library and finding all these wonderful resources, and but not having really an index to try to figure out what goes together and where everything is. And so it's been, Terry and Stephen have been very patient with me as I've been just digging and trying to sort books, if you will, and try to organize and try to identify how to collect this information. And I've got
right
this.
home without paying for Uber. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, I like Uber, no. But sorry. Anyway, so and I have been doing very little with the Facebook pages, but a couple of things that I've done that I wanted to kind of get input on is that for the month of April, I worked on a calendar that would show all the meetings, you know, ideally all the meetings, all the activities that the stakes are doing, and try to make that easy for all of you and all of the safety, all the emergency teams in the wards and stakes to be able to find, you know, what's going on in our whole area. And so the April one, well, maybe we'll take the May one and email it out to all of you so that you can see it. It's also in the calendar section of the website at sdpreparedness.com. If you look at the calendar tab, it'll show April's, and April was the first one out. But I think it's, you know, just for me being new to this group, you all talk about all these agencies and groups and meetings, and it sort of whirls around in my head. And there's probably a lot of newly called emergency prepared response team members out there that maybe feel like that. So I thought having a calendar. So if you could go on that and just give me an idea of whether or not that's going to meet a need, or if you have some other suggestions on how I might do that in a better way. In terms of the boots on the ground, I'm a little disappointed that it's not going to be something that we can just really, you know, go to the ends of the earth with every stake, but I understand it. So, but what I wanted to do is treat this as a formal social media campaign. And one of the things that we know is that if you say boots on the ground to some people, they might not even know what it is. And our members are the ones who are ultimately impacted by these exercises and by the safety that they might need. And so I thought for the April post, I've got a series of posts that I want to put on the website and on the social media pages each month, covering a different project. So for this month, and I haven't posted it yet because I want to present this first, but really helping people understand what the Great California Shakeout is all about. And so bring that terminology and associate it with boots on the ground. And it sounds like we've been guided to sort of use the umbrella of the California program, the Great California Shakeout, as the terminology for our October event. And then May would be for members of wards to find out who their emergency team is. If I'm a ward member, it would be nice for me to know who are, if I want advice on some aspect of my food storage, or where can I get a good deal on this or that, who do I go to in my ward to learn that information? And so I don't know exactly yet how maximizing and oh
It just means he left to go do his errands. Good. He switched.
In July, it would be asking people to verify all the information in their member tools app and with their ward clerk to make sure that their address is correct. We know that addresses and phone numbers and email addresses are not correct. And so it's pretty hard to do a boots on the ground if you don't have accurate information coming from the wards. In August, doing an official launch of our SD preparedness. I hope to do it sooner, but I gave myself lots of time, but officially launching the SD preparedness website so that it has everything that we all collectively feel it needs to have. And then in September, getting ready, a promotion on getting ready for the Great Shakeout, what to expect, what they can do, how they can get involved. And then afterwards, I was thinking it would be wonderful to do a survey of the people who went out and knocked on doors. I mean, somehow we got to collect data, right, to find out how effective we were. And so I'm sure Mike's got that on his plan too. But anyway, I've got a dozen or so fires going on, and I love all of you and what you're doing. I'm passionate about this work, and I get frustrated when I'm too slow, but I have to also, you guys really know a lot. I'm trying to catch up. Any questions?
Yeah, didn't you also say, and I think I agreed with you, if we're going to do boots on the ground and knock on doors, we maybe had 3 things that we perhaps gave them talking points to ask.
Oh, that's right. What was that? Let's see. Yeah, first, yes, that if we're going to knock on somebody's door, we might ask them, hey, do you have a 3-day kit? 2, do you have a family emergency plan? 3, who at your church might you call if you needed help? And, or any other 3 questions, but 3 quick questions that the boots on the grounds people ask as they knock on the door. It could be anything, but some data that we collect, that we then know, okay, no one has a knowledge of who their ministering teacher is in the backwoods or whatever. We need help with that, or we need to be able to figure out how they connect, because there's probably some people who do not know who their ministering brother or sister is. And in an emergency, they would not know that they could reach out to someone at the church to help. Any other questions? Thanks for reminding me, Terry.
And just for those that are new, the SD preparedness website is intended to be a resource for the emergency response callings. Certainly, Mike Diamond can be posting communications, things there as well. But it helps break down for wards and stakes, the callings, what we're asking them to do, and then formalizing an emergency response council and how that would work, all in preparation of, getting wards and stakes to gather together and make a formal emergency plan, and utilizing their auxiliary organizations, to help be a part of that plan of who would do what if type of scenario. So, and then of course, anyways, it's just meant to be a big resource. It would add local community resources and different organizations you could tap into to round out that plan, bringing in training or classes, to your ward or stake members on first aid or whatever it is. So just be aware that it's been a resource, it's being revamped, and it's going to continue being a resource, even better one once Beverly keeps molding. We appreciate all the you're doing there, Beverly.
One of the things that I'm in desperate need of is revised job descriptions for all the different positions. We have them in certain, some of them are a little bit old. And so if any of you have, sort of sketched out something on your own and think it's really great, or if you want to help with reviewing the job descriptions that we currently have, we'd like to have that input.
Okay. And then I think you had also mentioned the Neighbor Helping Neighbor program. You said you had found out who the owner of that was. It's kind of the power of three, the 3 minute, the 3 hour, the 3 month, or 3 day and 3 month programs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. One of the, sorry, Terry, go ahead.
No, you were just hoping that I would reach out and contact them. And did you send me that contact information by chance?
I did, I think.
If you could resend it, I would appreciate it, because I feel like I missed it. I was looking.
All right. Yeah, one of the things that we're really trying to do with our SD preparedness is make sure that everything that we have, we know where it came from, and where it came from, and that it's an authority and not, something that shouldn't be posted.
Right. Okay. Any other questions for Beverly?
This is Mike. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
I can.
Okay, good. Just first of all, your enthusiasm is infectious. It really shows, and it's fantastic. Now, reviewing, since I don't have my screen here, reviewing the things, you sent something from Draper, right?
Yes.
Is that the Neighbor Helping Neighbor part of it?
Yes, it's the city of Draper, Utah. They've really got a wonderful, outstanding website in the city, and they have a preparedness link on there that has all of the Neighbors Helping Neighbors information, the videos, the 3 minute, the 3 day, all of those resources, and they've got a copyright on their website. So I'm not sure. The old websites for Neighbors Helping Neighbors that that we used to have access to is no longer functioning. So the thing that Terry and I wanted to do, or if you want to help us, Mike, is identifying who is the owner of that information now. And it looks to me like the city of Draper has adopted that as part of their emergency plan, but I'm not sure. We'll have to call them and see. So it's
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, so let me turn the time over to the Stringhams with our San Diego mission. Welcome.
We probably don't have much to add, and the time has been well spent. We have mapped out all the missionary apartments and mapped out the ward boundaries that they reside in, who that bishop is, and that has been given to the mission president's wife, and we haven't received any other direction as to the next step. So that's all we've done.
That's fabulous. Okay. And any other things going on in the San Diego mission we should be aware of?
Oh, I don't think so. There's good things going on, but probably not the place.
I understand the temple is closing down for some renovations. Is that right? Do you know much about that?
Just the end of July is what we've heard.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Sister Sorensen,
Yes.
this is Marlon Griffin. We did a couple wards did the boots on the grounds, and they tried to find the missionaries and they didn't have their apartment numbers. So missionaries might want to contact the membership clerk, you might say, and update their address with their apartment number. So if they weren't going out to try to find the missionaries and work with them, they can find out where they're living better.
Okay. Hey, Mike, you might want to mute if possible. I'm wondering if we're getting a little interference in you.
Terry, you
Yeah.
made a comment. Yeah, the temple was planning to close the end of July for about 3 months for extensive repairs. Okay. Hoping to open in October. They haven't got a firm schedule yet, but that's currently the plans as just announced today. Okay.
All right. Stephen Fairbanks, I saw your hand go up.
On this website, it says till the end of December. I don't know if that's current or it was just the first estimate.
Okay. Good to know. And I hear they're going to have a public open house afterwards, right? Once they reopen again.
Yes, it's going to have a public open house. Absolutely. That'll be wonderful, 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 wonderful.
Yep. Yep. Okay. Ron Earl isn't able to make it. He's on our emergency response committee. He is definitely having some struggles. He broke his hip not too long ago and recently recovered from it, and then turned around and broke his other femur on his other leg, and is now trying to recover from that. So he wanted to share, this is kind of good to know information. It's actually a YouTube video out of Ventura County called High-Low Siren Evacuation Video. And what he shared with us is that he serves on the auxiliary communications team for the Sheriff's Department of San Diego. And Ventura has rolled this out and demonstrated, it's a very short, 30-second video pretty much, of what the siren sounds like and how it's going to differ for evacuation purposes. So they are bringing out the high-low pitch of a siren, dun, 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 that type of thing. And in case of an evacuation, the patrol cars will be going around the communities doing that. He said the city of San Diego will be adopting that as well as part of evacuation procedures going forward. He didn't say when that would happen, but I just thought it was interesting information. Again, you can look it up on YouTube under high-low siren evacuation video. And again, it's out of Ventura County. It'll just give you that sound and explain a little bit about it. So that's what he wanted to report. And Mickey Cross, did she make it on from Del Mar at all yet tonight? Mickey Cross had put out that she had taken some great training, and I'll just be sure that I will put it in the minutes in case anyone else is looking into that training. But certainly, as you guys come across local resources that offer any type of training you think would benefit stakes and wards, please let us know. And like Sister Blaylock mentioned, we will be sure to put it up on calendars or local contact information so that you have resources to draw on. And with that being said, Stephen, or did anyone recently attend this month's VOAD meeting and have any reports there?
I did.
Okay.
It was pretty short. Jerry was on the phone. Jerry was on it also. I'm trying to remember. I just reported to them that we had regular meetings every month and that we were working towards our September in-person gathering, and that we were going to participate in the Great Shakeout. Jerry, do you have anything else to add about what other agencies were working on?
No, I think you pretty much hit it. I had audio problems last week, which I still do, but I'm using my tablet tonight. But I think your presentation of what you told them was spot on. So good job.
Okay. Was there any mention? I know we keep getting some interest about participating in a larger countywide multi-agency drill. Does anybody have ears on that yet? I see something occasionally that comes up and I couldn't look.
The feeding task force meets every month, but I did not attend.
Yeah.
So I don't know what their plans are.
I know SDG&E is planning a tabletop one, or just recently had a tabletop one as well, but it's neither one of those. It would be more of from the Red Cross point where everybody could participate as actors, or whatever way they could participate. But anyways, as we get more information about that, we will pass that on.
Beverly and I both, I think, attended the Earthquake County Alliance meeting, which is monthly, and it looks like they talked about Prepare You, which is a training, but it sounds like from now on, they're focusing on the Great Shakeout like we will be doing. So a lot of these organizations are going to be focusing on performing and carrying out their activities on the Great Shakeout. So that's what will be happening, I think, from now on. I went to a fire safe meeting for the county also, and we're working that way. They didn't have very much to do with the fire safe meeting, except for I think the University City Fire Safe was disbanding, and they were trying to give away supplies that they have to give to other qualified organizations. They spent most of the time doing that.
All right, thank you very much, Stephen. So let me turn the time over to Sister Jimenez, if you're still on with us. And if you could talk to us a little bit about the emergency in San Bernardino and Riverside, and then also what we were talking about earlier, organizations and humanitarian aid, partnering with them for small grants or things like that, right?
Yes, sure. Thank you, Terry. So the storms back in February and in March impacted the San Bernardino Mountains, which encompass 3 stakes: Hesperia, Apple Valley, and San Bernardino stakes. Our members were really well prepared for that event. And so in the initial reports, what we like to hear back from the reports that we like to gather from the stake presidents include a status on the members, missionaries, and church facilities. And because the members were well prepared, we decided to then shift our focus to the community to understand and determine what kind of needs there were in the community, and if we might be able to support the response effort. So I worked closely with our VOAD, who is Dennis Porter, and Dennis was able to connect with San Bernardino County and learned from them that the biggest needs they had were for volunteers, food, and other supplies like diapers, toilet paper, those kinds of things. And so we took all of that back to President Johnson, who is the state president of the San Bernardino stake, and just helped to collect information that he would need in order to make a decision about how we were going to, or if we were going to, support the county's response effort. And so he determined that he wanted to be able to donate food and other supplies. So we ended up making 2 food truck donations, and that was a total of about 60,000 pounds of food and other supplies, mostly hygiene supplies. As far as the volunteers, we spoke with President Johnson again about volunteer and what he would like to do. He decided that he wanted to encourage members through Just Serve posts as well as their social media pages to register through the county's the county's volunteer site, rather than coordinating the members to support the snow removal efforts. They just partnered with the county and encouraged members who were interested in volunteering to sign up through the county. Any questions about the response effort?
Go ahead, Mike.
There
You're
we go.
muted.
There we
Yeah.
go. How did the missionary reporting go? Do you know how many missionaries you had in those areas? And did the information come in as a priority, or did it come in after some of the other information came in?
Yeah, okay, thank you, Mike. That's a good question. So it felt like, because when I connected with the stake presidents, it felt like they had a really good communication system with as far as determining the status of the missionaries. I also was able to speak with the San Bernardino mission. The mission president's wife reported that all of the missionaries were doing well. The missionaries were up in Lake Arrowhead. I think they were up in the mountains for about 3 days because the roads were closed, so they weren't able to leave their homes. But they had 72-hour kits, and so they were good. There's a senior missionary couple up in that area, so they were able to stay in communication with that couple, and they were able to report their status to the mission home.
What was the level of infrastructure that was available? Did the cell phones go down at all?
No, cell phones did not go down.
Okay, that's nice to know.
That was a good thing. Yeah. Anyone else?
I was wondering, do you have a write-up of that success story? It would be nice to, promote that and just let the people down here kind of know how things went on that. Has that been written up someplace?
So Sister Blaylock, the state assistant communication director, my last conversation with her was about 2 weeks ago, and she was working on writing up an article that they're hoping they're going to be able to share with like Church Newsroom.
Okay, great. We'll watch for it.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, so I'll talk a little bit about humanitarian grants, and I'll type the area priorities into the chat after I talk about humanitarian grants. But the area presidency in the North America West area focuses on 4 humanitarian priorities. They are immigrants and refugees, homelessness, food insecurity, and victims of abuse. So when we look to partner with organizations, we want to partner with organizations whose work, their services, or goods support those 4 areas. So if you're out in the community and you learn of an organization that, maybe it's a battered women's shelter, that is an organization that, we might consider working with. There are, we have not been given instruction to put a dollar amount around the help and the support that the church will provide, but what we do provide is commodities through Bishop's Storehouse or Deseret Industries, as well as a cash donation. There are nuances to how the cash can be used. So if there is an organization that you feel might be a good fit for the church's humanitarian priorities, I just invite you to give me a call and we can talk about that. And I will put the church's the North America West area's humanitarian priorities into the chat, as well as my phone number and email address. The humanitarian priorities are going to be different from area to area. So Utah has a different humanitarian priority, and those humanitarian priorities are set by the area presidency.
I would just share that Stephen and I have been doing this long enough that we've seen a few of those projects come to pass. One, when COVID first hit, and a lot of the cruise ships were pulling in and people were being sequestered in Miramar, and requests for some supplies. We were able to provide commodities through the Bishop's Storehouse. And another one many years back was with some refugees. I can't remember the group.
From Haiti and Congo.
Haiti and Congo, that sounds about right. Where one of the churches closer to the border had taken on some of those refugees, and it got to be so many of them that he couldn't manage it anymore. And so other faith-based organizations stepped up, and we provided food assistance to them through that crisis. So as you hear about it, I know some of you work with your interfaiths, and you have ears to the ground on what's going on in your communities. Just keep that in mind, that it is a way for us to partner and show support in our communities. So we're looking for those.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. If there's no other questions, one of the things before I go into stake reports, I want you to consider when I ask is we had challenged you last time to hold your quarterly emergency response council and start working on your either new emergency response plan or updating your old emergency response plan, and getting your contact information lists and all the players of who would do what if a such and such scenario happened. Most likely wildfire, but depending where you are, it could be water related or earthquake related as well. But so I'm going to ask if you were able to hold those council meetings, and if so, how that went for you. Find out any way we can help support that, or bring about, if you're still looking to hold one of those, if we can help you, assist you in that way. Also, as part of your calling, as I sit on the communication council with Becky Davies, each of your stakes have a communication council, and you should be sitting on that communication council in the same capacity, working with the other people in your stake that are servicing the community. And the idea being that you all help each other with your projects. So they might have information that would relate to these grants that we're talking about that you may not run across through your emergency response portion. So it's just, again, another way that we can partner using our calling and connecting and building bridges. So if you haven't sat in on one of the monthly communication meetings, or you don't know who your communication director is in your stake, I would encourage you to look on tools and introduce yourself and make sure they know that you should be serving with them as well if they don't. So with those two things, I will turn the rest of the time over to you guys. So I'm going to go just according to the gallery I have up here, and I'm going to start with Jerry Hansen. If you want to report anything going on in El Cajon.
I wish I could. We're just not moving forward the way I like to. One of the biggest problems we have in our state is the communications amongst the wards to get stake information disseminated to the wards, where we don't do the bulletins anymore. Everybody's using different medias, but none of them are the same. And so it makes it very difficult to get information to the entire ward. And I talked to our communications council director, Sister Urstenbach, and she agrees, but we can't get the state presidency to move forward on anything that's really going to work. It's been discussed with them, the problems that we're having, and so I'm kind of at a standstill when it comes to trying to get things done. I tried last year. I guess it was last year. I did the Prepare in a Year campaign, and I submitted that to the best that I could through our stake, and it was a very dismal response. Very few received it. So until I can, get this resolved on a stake and award level, I don't know where we're going. There's some suggestions that have been given to our stake presidency on how this might be handled, but we've got no official word as of yet. So the committee is working on this as well. So that's kind of where we're at. There's a lot of things we want to do, but until we can get this communication portion set up, my hands are kind of tied, if you will. I mean, I do what I can, but I can't get to the words. We've had some changes in our stake, which I'm sure everybody's heard about. They've dismantled and removed the Granite Hills ward. Most of that ward went to the Alpine building. We got about 80 people in the Hillsdale building. They closed down the there was a ward in the El Cajon Bostonia ward. They closed the Bostonia ward, and they took all the members and they went to the Fuerte ward, which is now called the Magnolia ward. So there's been a lot of shuffling. So our stake has been very busy on that. So I have to give them some room with regards to that. And so hopefully we can move forward to start making some things happen. Now that we have a lot of people in the wards, I think we can find some people on a ward and a stake level. So that's what I'm working on, is to try to get some of those ward assignments as well as stake assignments fulfilled. So that's where we're at. Sorry to say, it's just a mess out here.
I've been responsible for that, and I've had some health issues where I can't even talk without coughing. And so I've had to put it on back burner until it gets done. But I'm finding out that our ward, which is the Alpine ward, doesn't have a emergency preparedness coordinator. So I volunteered.
Okay.
That's
And so and I'm having to go through every ward now to find out if there's one active and who it is. So I'm working on that. I apologize. It'll happen.
Okay. Beverly Blaylock, I wonder, is there help social media wise that can be given? Talking to someone in the stake there, is that one approach we could look at, mainstreaming?
Unfortunately, I'm not sure who their stake social media specialist is either. There's been some gaps there too, so.
If we
Um,
find out and put you in contact with them, is that helpful at all, or?
Yeah, I basically, I coordinate with all of the stake social media specialists. And so anything that we want put out to the stake social media pages, I can put the post together and send it out to them and ask them to post it. And pretty much they do it right away. So El Cajon's kind of an exception because I don't have a person that is, is doing theirs. But yeah, well, part of my, in addition to the being on this wonderful committee, I work with all the stake social media specialists and coordinate their efforts and watch over them and train them and help them. So anything that we want, anything that our committee wants pushed out to the stake pages, I can do it. Just let me know what you need.
Okay. Can I
Yeah.
ask a couple of questions, Terry?
Yes.
The first question is QR codes that are now taking over the wards instead of
Yes.
programs. And there's some challenges with that. But as we were talking about this, if it is a QR code, that means there is somebody who's creating that electronically and people are getting it through the QR code. That might be a contact. I mean, it's probably the same contact that has always been, as whoever takes care of the ward bulletin. You can give announcements and put things in there. But there is a compromise in it that I won't get into. The other question that I have is the website, which is just coming along very well. There's so much stuff on there, and now that it's up to date, for the most part, we've taken the glaring outdated things out of, and there's still things I know that you're working on. But what are we doing to promote in the mission to promote and drive people to those two social media? I mean, it seems like a lot of people don't know about it, and so and I think it might be something that we could look at. And
yeah, I'm really hesitant to. I'm not proud of our social media presence yet. So I think I would like to kind of keep it in-house for a little bit longer. If you put out a website that's mediocre, people won't come back to it. So it needs to really be good. And then once it's really good, then we'll promote it to all of the stakes and we'll have some content on there that people really want to see. But I'm hesitant to do it right now. I would like all of our committee, we're all friends with each other. We all can, you can say, hey, Bev, this part really sucks. Fix it. But I'm still working. There's so many, I've got a task list that's huge still that I want to do before I feel like it's ready to start advertising it. So just give me a little bit more time.
sounds fantastic. Thank you.
Okay, let's move on then. How about Mike, since you're up and already ready to speak? I know you said there weren't any other changes in the San Diego stake, but any other events or activities, or were you guys able to have an emergency response council meeting?
We're having them every week.
Oh, that's right. You did say that you're having those every week.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's under the direction of Jason Torbenson, is that right?
Officially, yes.
Officially, but you're running them. Is that the idea? Because he's out
Well,
of town.
no, we have a committee chairman, Brother Holtz, who's doing a fantastic job. We have a committee and he's having meetings every week. And we're, it's great. I mean, it's not officially organized in the manner that it's outlined,
I see.
We don't have, all the people representing, but we have enough.
Yeah.
We're doing something. And so we'll take it.
Right. And if you are looking at the guidelines that we've put out, especially if you've been in your callings for a while, or you've had our training, or you've been looking at the website that had them up at one point. We don't intend for you to necessarily have to follow it step by step exactly as it is. We want you to tailor it to the needs and resources that you have available in your states. And so always, just as Mike beautifully said, do the best you can with what you have and keep moving forward. Something is better than nothing. So we appreciate that. All right, thank you for that report, Mike. And Wayne Bostic, I know you spoke a little bit about San Diego East. Do you have anything else? Oh, you're muted. I'm sorry, Wayne, you're muted.
Yeah, I have nothing more to add. We're a little bit behind the power curve, but we're getting there. So I'm very encouraged. So, but that's the current status. So.
Okay, great. Do you have any plans to put a date on the calendar to try and have a first meeting by, or what are your thoughts there?
For Center East, yeah. Well, next month's my date and calendar. Yeah, we're going to meet with our state president. We're going to try to get that in place. Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you. And let's see, Escondido, Bill and Brother Cottam.
Can't hear us at all, huh? It looks like no. Oh. We can hear you, but turn our thing off. Yeah, turn that off. Okay, now can you hear us now?
Better.
Oh, now you can. Can you hear us now?
Yes.
Okay, so we did have our first meeting. As you know, our stake was divided in half, and now we have the San Marcos stake and the Escondido stake. So now we're down to 4 units. 6 units. Excuse me, down to 6 units. Yeah, and so we've been actively getting the bishops to extend callings for an emergency response specialist, and so far we have 4 wards out of 6 now that have emergency response specialists, and we've had 1 meeting, but with only a few of them, because some of them have been called since our meeting. But we're having another meeting this coming Thursday, and an orientation meeting and that sort of thing. And so we're trying to come to terms with our stake president. What he wants us to do is to have a drill in September. And so we're trying to work that through. He wants us to carry, as part of our drill, he wants us to carry an invitation and information regarding state conference as part of the drill. And so our state conference is in September. So we're trying to figure out how that's going. So when you do it in October, we might give you September information. Would that be workable?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think that is totally fine.
Okay. So that's the direction that we're going right now.
Okay, great. And I'm sorry, I have been charging my iPad, but apparently it wasn't really charging. So I missed the beginning part of that. Did you say, have you guys been able to hold an emergency response council within the stake yet?
No, we've held 2 meetings with our stake presidency and we're our stake president. So we're working towards that. We're organizing that. So we're really concentrating right now on the wards. I think we're going to put the stake together the state council very easily, but the ward council is a difficult one. And you know, when I was first called, my heart kind of goes out to Brother Hanson because he's coughing and can hardly talk. But I ran through the information and it mentioned to call an assistant emergency response specialist
And so I turned in Howard Cottam's name, and Howard Cottam graciously accepted. And it's worked out great because we have some redundancy. If I'm not available, he's available, and vice versa. So maybe that might be a consideration for some of the people to have an assistant help them out.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great that you were able to get another person called. So we encourage that anywhere anybody's able to make that happen. That will definitely be a benefit to you.
Yeah.
So
Works out
thank
great.
you.
Uh-huh.
All right, and the Griffins, PQ.
First
Mark?
question, Terry, point of confirmation, when you said state emergency council, is that with the state presidency or is that just with our ward groups?
No, that would be all the state players. So it would be a presidency member, your high council member, yourself, your communications, and all your auxiliary heads.
Okay, good, thank you. We had a few things, like I mentioned before, we did, Stake was on board on getting the boots on the ground, what would you call it, this last week on Saturday. Some were able to do it and some weren't. We did find that idea about the missionaries' apartment numbers was not on the ward list, so they couldn't contact them. That might be one of the things we talked about. With Sister Blaylock, maybe I can ask her to, in our state, our number one thing, if nothing else happens, is to have everybody have SD emergency app. And I kind of think nothing's going to happen sometimes, but the SD emergency app, if we can have the county wake everybody up and get them going. I've had my son and different people haven't been woken up before the fire burnt the part of their house down. So I'd rather have the county. The church is not good at waking people up and getting them out of their house, but they're good at the recovery. So maybe one of your questions, and that's what we sent out everybody in the state. When they went door to door, they give them an SD emergency flyer with the QR code to make sure they signed up. Because that's our number one thing we think we can do. The rest of the stuff is questionable, but I just asked her also on your communication group. We didn't meet this month, but next month I'm going to ask our communication person to help us get that SD emergency app and the importance of it out. So maybe you can, I can send you the digital form of it if you want to have it from the San Diego County Emergency Services. But that's the thing that we're pushing harder than anything else. But they did have some good success, and some other people are going to do it later in the month. I think that's about it. Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's great. And we appreciate that effort that your state goes to do that spring exercise. I know Poway Stake also did a spring exercise, and unfortunately Mike is out of town, so he can't report on that for us tonight.
I say one more thing, just as a
Yeah.
suggestion to the new stakes. I think it was Mike or one of the people mentioned that you have to have some authority on these councils for your San Diego Emergency Response Group, or you have to have people at the table of authority. I think that someone mentioned that. So we've asked, our state presidency has asked that the Elders Quorum presidency has one of their counselors be the person in charge, and not a ward calling, but part of the state, part of their Elders Quorum calling. And so they can have some authority in that calling. And then when they sit on the ward emergency response council, they can do things. Anyway, that's those Elders Quorum presidencies that have, I think most all of our ward, that position is within the Elders Quorum presidency, so they can have authority. And just a suggestion. They're already sitting there. I hate to say, a lot of them don't have a lot of things to do, so this would be a good thing for them to do.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. All right. Is there anyone that I missed? I have a partial screen, so I'm not seeing my whole screen. So I want to make sure all the stakes report in. Anyone that I haven't gotten yet? Okay. And Brother Miles, remind me, what stake are you with? I see a brother Blake Miles on our call tonight.
I'm
Anyone?
I'm out in Pearl Valley in the El Central Stake.
Oh, that's right.
for
You're
the
the bishop that's been
I'm
invited.
Bishop in Calexico. Yeah, just Stephen Fairbanks had given me a agenda, and I said, okay, I've got another meeting that night, but I know I could probably log in after my other meeting, so that's what I did, just to get it exposed.
Okay, and I might ask you, since I have your ear, what your thoughts are as you've been listening to this meeting. Has it been a lot of overwhelming information, or were you familiar with some of it?
I wasn't familiar with much of it. I was able to look at some of the websites you talked about during the meeting. That was interesting. I was interested at the El Cajon stake. They said they'd been combining wards, and that the Escondido stake got split or something like that.
Yeah, San Marcos stake was created partially from Vista and Escondido.
Wow, because I've heard at least our units and most of the units I've been aware of have really suffered from COVID. I'm surprised to hear of a stake being created, but in Southern California.
That's the
Yeah,
first one in a
time.
long time.
9 years, yeah, 9 years since we created a stake.
But that's really Orange County, right?
Yeah, and that's true, right? We can't claim them. Oh, shoot.
Now, how can San Marcos be Orange County? I don't get that one.
Well,
Gerrymandering.
for emergency purposes, they are grafted in still for resources that will not be available to them from Orange County, right? So.
But in San Marcos, actually in San Diego County?
They're in the Newport. They're not in our mission. They're from Orange County's mission.
But they are in San Diego County, and that's why we meet with them, because they will have to rely on San Diego County resources, as Terry said a moment ago.
Yeah, it's Escondido. Where am I? San Marcos.
Vista.
And it's Oceanside, right? No,
Escondido. Escondido.
Yeah.
In what used to be the Carlsbad mission then.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
So we get, there's a lot of activity from those areas.
Right.
And, yeah, so we really appreciate that. A lot of support up there.
All right, one last thing I just kind of forgot to mention when Sister Jimenez was talking. If you noticed, she had said that the state president up there decided, rather than asking members to be a part of snow removal efforts, and you can liken that to emergencies we've had down here, where it's mostly been wildfires and sifting through ashes or that kind of thing, cleanup duties. That now that we have Just Serve, it's working really well. He asked the members to volunteer through Just Serve, looking for whatever organizations appealed to them in the sense of what the asks were and needs were and what they were able to do. And going forward, that is kind of the new model of how we would handle things in case we have an emergency down here. We're going to be working with the county through their emergency response plan, specifically because of the VOAD, which is Volunteer Organizations Active in Disaster. It meets once a month with all the local organizations like our church that have things to offer in case of an emergency. And mostly we offer assistance like Sister Jimenez talked about, and volunteering. So rather than rushing out and creating, armies of people that are going to comb through the neighborhoods, we're getting away from that. And we are going to be volunteering mostly through Just Serve and looking for organizations that are in need of whatever assistance that's closest to us, that meets their needs and the abilities of our members. So your Just Serve person in your stake also serves on that communication council. You want to develop a relationship with them, introduce yourself, and let them know if they have county resources on their site that are asking for volunteers in emergency response. That is something that you can share, with the wards and stakes that we have. You have those emergency response opportunities now in front of an emergency. whatever their ask might be, you know, whether it's a CERT team or Red Cross or whatever that might be looking for things. So just beware. That's one of the relationships we want you to use as a bridge builder to the community. I'm having an emergency fair on May 6th here in the city of Poway. And we always invite our Just Serve stake specialist to have a booth in that fair. And the reason is because then she walks around the fair and she networks with all the other resource agencies and lets them know of her services. And it tends to be something a little more insular for her on that, rather than people coming up to her. But even then, some people do come up to her and learn about Just Serve and volunteer after learning about it. But mostly she's networking with other vendors and getting their resource information and getting them to sign up with her for whatever their needs are. So again, it becomes that bridge building opportunity. And part of our calling is thinking about emergency response for sure, insular and in the community. It's bridge building. It's also a possibility for missionary work. So with that in mind, it has a spiritual component to it as well. And so when you're praying for guidance in your callings, you know, ask for understanding of the plans that we're trying to put in place and how you can help with them, and you know, ways that you can network and build a relationship with your community and connect your stake and ward members to that. So with that, I think I don't have anything else to add. Is there any questions that we can answer at this point before we adjourn?
This is Steve here. I'm up in Bountiful right now, and I'm on the street that had major flooding last week.
Yes.
And when I drive on the street, I get to the intersection that has piles of sandbags that were put up early in the morning by volunteers, probably mainly LDS, to protect the homes from the floods that came off the benches here a week ago. But you can look up in the mountains and it is piled with the snow. Once you get up a little bit, it's just snow all the way through Wyoming. So everyone here has to be kind of a Minuteman. When the floods come down at whatever time it is, then they call up the members or call up the county or whatever, and have to be prepared to sandbag. I should take a picture of the sandbags tomorrow and send them to you.
Yeah. You know, you never know what the emergency is going to be. And early on in our training, I repeat this a lot, so I apologize if you've heard it, but you know, the emergency will probably not be what you think it is. And so it's hard to prepare for everything, but certainly in our measure of preparedness, whatever level we're at, it does bring us the peace that, you know, we're doing something versus nothing, and hopefully we're doing the Lord's work and what's needed for this area. So but yes, boy, San Bernardino getting all the snow that it did and creating that emergency, and you know, Utah, I guess it was praying extra hard for relief from the drought, and there you go. So who knows what our next emergency here will be, but I hope all of you are praying about that for your areas and how best you can prepare your stakes and wards and be of service to your community. So I appreciate all the work that everybody does. And again, please reach out to us and let us know how we can help you move forward. So with that being said, please note the agenda I sent out was one page in the sense of what we covered tonight, but it was 2 pages or more down with ongoing information about the Great Shakeout October drill, the quarterly exercises, if you're able to work with those and continue to develop your mapping system and so forth, and other information needed as pertaining to the website and other things that we talked about tonight. So, but I'll still send out a recording of this and extra notes from the comments made tonight as well. So hopefully that gives you enough information to go forth another month and give it your best, and we'll look forward to hearing your reports in, what is it, May coming up. Boy, time is marching on. So thank you everybody for spending your time with us and sharing your ideas. We appreciate you. Oh, we should have a closing prayer. Whoops. Sorry about that. If you can hang with us just one moment. Bill Snap, would you be able to give that closing prayer?
Hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Our Father in heaven, we bow our heads before thee humbly and give thee thanks for the opportunity we have to serve and to help our fellow mankind in our community. We thank thee for the rains that we've received to replenish our water reserves. We thank thee for hearing our prayers in that regard. Bless us and sustain us in our desires to move forward with our program, that we might be prepared and have oil in our lamps. We pray humbly in the name of thy Son, Jesus the Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening. Bye.
Bye.